So recently I did a survey on our programming and our CS career questions, and I got 50 people, just about 50 people, to answer this survey. The survey was titled, "What are recruiters doing wrong?" Obviously, that was just a little bit to get people to respond because I was really just interested in what people feel about recruiters, not necessarily like what they're doing wrong, especially. Although I do believe recruiters are doing a lot of stuff wrong. I mean, I also just believe the whole recruiting industry is a little weird, especially in tech. But so I asked a couple questions. The first question was, how often do you respond to recruiters? So what was pretty something I was kind of expecting was that most people barely respond. So you can see fully a third of people, 2% to 10% of the time, are responding. So yeah, not a super huge amount. A large majority are responding. So if you look at like this side of the pie, a pretty large majority are responding below 10% of the time. So you can see a large amount of people, 17.6%, never, 13.7%, 1% of the time. And then there are some outliers here that respond fairly often. 20% to 50%, that's probably me. That's where I'm at because I'm usually, just like polite to recruiters, and I'll say, sorry, I'm not interested right now. I do freelance work, so it's kind of useful to keep in touch with recruiters because sometimes they actually do have, nice little short-term contracts coming through that I might be interested in. Not that that's fairly typical that I would take them, but pretty useful to talk to them. But you can see just the majority of people here are barely ever responding to recruiters. So that's already a problem. And I think recruiters know this, but I did the same survey to recruiters almost, and they, somebody's lying because they said a lot more than 10%. So anyway, so the second question I asked was, what percentage of jobs have you gotten from recruiters? And this one was surprising to me because in my experience, I've seen a lot of people work with recruiters, not necessarily get jobs through them, but I feel like a lot of people are talking to recruiters, and more than 50% of people said they have gotten 0 jobs from recruiters, and then an additional 17.6% on top of that. So this is basically 3/4 of people that responded. Basically 3/4 of people said they have only gotten somewhere between none and 10% of their jobs using recruiters. That's pretty interesting to me, because I would have thought that number would be higher. But thinking back, I've only gotten, I guess, 2 jobs from recruiters, and I've had probably a lot more than that. So maybe 5 or 6, and otherwise, it does make a lot more sense to just apply directly to a job. They're probably happier to talk to you that way because they know they don't have to pay the recruiter a referral fee, which is, if you don't know, that's a very large fee. Like typically a recruiter will get 30% of your first year's salary as a fee if you stay more than 90 days. And I think that they, just from talking to people, I think that is prorated somehow. So, like you get some percentage of the fee after you stay like some certain number of months, but it's a significant fee that they get. So companies are very happy to have internal recruiters that are working with you. They're happy to have, just put their job applications out there and get people to apply directly. So that's another interesting thing. The third thing, which is a little bit convoluted the way that this response is because I had it as like a multiple response, was when you don't respond, why is that? So most often. And I let people pick multiple options here, but I try to condense them a little bit. So first of all, number 1 is totally mismatched skill set. So I put some examples here. Just, I know it kind of muddies up the info here, but basically a mismatched skill set would be, let's say you're a .NET developer and you are getting jobs about Java development, and if you're a backend developer, you're pretty much going to do one or the other. You're not going to be like an expert in Java and an expert in .NET. They're totally different ecosystems. You're not even running Linux servers on .NET probably. So totally different thing for back end. And then for front end, you might have people asking you, it's possible you do both, but like from what I've seen is recruiters will just blanket you with tons of stuff. And like all of my job titles, a lot of them clearly say like back end developer, and I always get front end positions just because I know React, but I mean, it's not like my main thing. So that's another thing. So number 2 was, I just put this because I get a lot of recruiter spam, and I think every developer does, and it says clearly sent in bulk from what looks like a fake company. And I'll show you, I have an example of like what looks like outright spam to me, and it's when I see something like this, and it just says a list of skills, and then it says something in, not good English that says, give me all this stuff. I mean, this is bizarre to me. If they emailed me, they know my email. That sort of thing. If they got me somehow from LinkedIn, I mean, they probably have the LinkedIn. So this stuff is just bizarre, and it's just obviously spam. They're just blanket sending this to as many people as they can get an email for. I've even seen ones where it'll say like social security number. It's like, all right, that's pretty sketchy. So that's why I put this one on here, and you can see a lot of people say this. So, if you're a recruiter and you're watching this, which I hope you are, because, my goal is to make a course for recruiters, and a lot of this research is just about trying to understand what developers think about recruiters, trying to understand what recruiters think about developers, and trying to get like both sides of the industry before I start to build this course. And I hope if you're a recruiter and you're watching this and you get interested in this enough to like sign up for the course that I have, and there's a link down in the description. I think that you'll be interested to know that developers are already on the defensive because they get tons of spam emails like this, and they're not from if you're an American developer and you're working for like an American company, you're getting tons of spam email that looks like it's originating offshore, right? Like the English is not good. Like these companies look completely fake. Like the names are completely fake. Everything looks fake, and it just looks like they're trying to like scam you. So even if you're a legit recruiter and you're working for like a legit company, you just have to understand, like, you may not understand this, but like developers are just getting like tons of crazy spam about recruiting, like stuff that's not legit at all. So, and then tied, I got these, was asking about a job in another state, and then also mismatched level. And this is, that's also like pretty common with people blasting out messages. So, and I'll talk about the job in another state first. So I get stuff all the time for like, I got this great job in Tennessee. Like, well, that's not exactly like a place people tend to move to. I don't know. I mean, New Jersey either. Like I can understand people recruiting for California because a lot of developers are willing to move out there for the high salaries, but it's just bizarre that you're recruiting for a totally random Midwestern state from somebody else in another random Midwestern state. Like I live in Minnesota right now. Like it doesn't make sense that I would move there. So why would you even bother? Like just target people in Tennessee. So that's one thing, is asking about a job in another state. I mean, again, I can understand very certain places, such as like if you're recruiting in San Francisco, because a lot of developers like will move there just because the salaries are higher. But anywhere else, if you're trying to recruit somewhere and it's a totally different place, like it doesn't make sense unless they indicated they were interested in that. So a lot of people are, that's a huge waste of time for everybody. Like, don't send a job about New Jersey if to a person who lives in Oregon. So mismatch level is another one. I get tons of stuff about junior developer positions. Like, if you look at my LinkedIn, which you can, I mean, it's public, you would see, like, it says senior developer, tech lead, for the last couple jobs. Like, why would I want a junior developer position, And then I think it's the same way around. You'll see, I remember when I was kind of like a junior and I would get stuff about architect positions or, some other like pretty senior level stuff. And it's like, well, that's nice that they sent that to me, and it's nice to know that those jobs are out there. But like realistically, the hiring manager would never hire me as a person with 2 years of experience for an architect role. So that's another pretty common thing. So you can just see, like, the theme here is the messages people are complaining about is like totally mismatched stuff. Like either the skill sets are mismatched, the levels are mismatched, or the job is completely geographically mismatched. And then spam's another big issue, but not a huge one. So this one, I don't think recruiters can do anything about. And this is now the fifth highest one, which is company seems uninteresting, unsuccessful, or doesn't excite me. Yeah, I mean, you can't really do anything about that if you're a recruiter. But you can see it's not the top thing people are complaining about. Like, yeah, they're saying that's why you don't respond, but there's a lot more reasons people aren't responding. Number one, before they're coming to like some uninteresting company. And then off-putting language, I put this in here because I feel like I get recruiting emails all the time that just have like really obvious spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes. Like even this one up here, I showed it as an example. Just right here, it just says, please do fill up the submission in this format. Like, what does that even mean? I put this in here because I suspected other people would pick it, and like lots of people did. So obviously, and I kind of grouped some people. I let people write in their own response, and other people wrote stuff like bad grammar, obviously typoed words, and they wrote stuff like coding rockstar in quotation marks, just BS like that. So I combined those all into this off-putting messaging, or off-putting language. But I think that this is a big deal to people because developers, like, I don't know, recruiters may understand this, they may not, but developers are very particular because I think just language affects developers in particular, just because if you're a programmer, you probably are very careful about grammar. You are probably very attuned to that stuff. You probably read a lot. And if you see something like that in an email, you just probably immediately discount it as like trash. So that's another one that ranked pretty high. So let's see, ridiculous experience requirements. That one, recruiters, again, can't really do anything about. If the hiring manager gives them some stupid requirement, like, can't do anything about that, But all this other stuff you can do stuff about, low salary range. Yeah, unfortunately, if you're a recruiter, you can't do anything about that. That sucks. But you can see a lot of people are just not responding because the company is uninteresting or the project wasn't interesting. So sorry that you can't do anything about that. But most of the stuff you can do something about, which is just about targeting and why people are ignoring you. So that's kind of the sum here. That's my summary. And if you are interested in this, if you're a recruiter, you can head over to this website, I Teach Recruiters. I threw this together. You can just get on the wait list here. Just drop your email in here, and I will probably, for the first maybe like 100 people in here, I'll send the course out to them for free when I launch it, just to hopefully get reviews and whatnot. But yeah, if you're interested in that, drop me a line. Sign up for this waitlist. If you're a junior developer, hopefully this was interesting to you, or hopefully this was helpful. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe or like or whatever.